Okay guys, hello. Thank you guys for coming in today. I am Amy. I'm Amy Likens and I'm here from Synergy Organic Juice Bar Cafe. And I have a tendency to walk around a little bit, so let me know if I'm getting too far out of your frame because I have a tendency to kind of walk and talk at the same time. So just a little bit quickly about who I am and why I'm here today to talk. I'm Amy Likens and I am what I would consider a holistic nutritionist. I call myself an integrated wellness specialist. I actually have a master's degree in nutrition, and I focus mainly in my practice on working with clients with cancer and autoimmune disease, but I really love working with people before disease has set in. And I'm actually leading right now a clean eating group, so that's what I'm going to be here talking with you guys about, because it sounds to me like that's the journey that you guys are about halfway through. So congratulate yourself for just being here and doing the work, because it's challenging to make some of these changes. I went through that process myself about 10 years ago, and it's been one of the best things I ever did, was just to adopt a more balanced approach to life. And so specifically today I'm going to be here talking to you guys about the dietary component of it, the nutritional aspect of it. But on the sheet that I gave everybody, if you flip to the back of the sheet, you'll see that it's not just about nutrition. We also want to look at the whole aspect. So exercise, and for me, I'm a yoga teacher. That's actually how I got into health and wellness in the first place. So I really advocate doing not just vigorous exercise, but doing things that's also very nourishing for your body and your mind. I think if you start doing practices that are more mindful, and that's exactly what a yoga practice is. It helps you be more mindful in the beginning. We're being mindful of how tight our hamstrings are, or how weak we might feel. But eventually, what I found in my life was that the mindfulness that I was developing in those types of practices, like my yoga or just breathing and meditation, they helped me become more mindful in all aspects of life. So more mindful of the choices I was making with my food, and not just how we nourish our body, but how we nourish our mind. More mindful of the types of things that I was exposing myself to. And ultimately, it's about creating an opportunity where we get to live a healthier and a happier life. We're not hopefully doing this just so we can have the best body. Getting a better shaped body is part of it, but I really tell most of my clients that your motivation needs to be about feeling good. And when you feel good and you start making those healthy choices, I find that what happens is it starts to motivate you to want to make more healthy choices. Real good example of that is, I also tell people that we need 80-20. You can't be 100% perfect all the time. And if we try to be 100% perfect all the time, we might set ourselves up for failure. So yesterday was part of my 20%. It was Super Bowl, right? So I gave myself a little bit of leeway. And not that that's a good excuse, but today I woke up feeling like, man, I can't believe this is the day I have to go talk about being so healthy, because yesterday I had a little bit of my 20%. And good thing is I don't feel as good as I normally do, so it's a reminder for me, all right, I did that yesterday, I had fun, but today I want to get back and get back on my 80% of making all those good choices. So I'm certainly not here today professing that we have to be perfect, because if we shoot for perfect and we don't make it, then our tendency to kind of jump off the wagon is so much easier. So try to give yourself kind of that little bit of cushion. So it doesn't have to be 100% of the time perfect, but especially if you're really trying to make some lasting changes to feel better, and especially if anybody's dealing with any kind of disease, that having a cleaner, healthier diet paired with a healthy, active lifestyle is one of the best ways to get there. So the very first thing that I have at the top of my paper for you guys is not about food even, it's about water. And I'm sure this has been presented to you guys during this program already, that you really need to be drinking lots of water. And does anybody know about how much water a day that we should be consuming?
Half of your weight.
Yeah, exactly, half your weight in ounces. And because we live in Florida and it gets to be kind of steamy and hot, then we might even need more than that. And if you're being active and you're sweating, you might even need more than that. And especially if you drink beverages that have caffeine in them, that are diuretics, you might need more. So, you can use that half your body weight in ounces as a good baseline. And, I won't talk too much more about water, but one of the reasons that drinking water is such an important for weight balance and just healthy life in general is because nearly every single metabolic function in your body utilizes water. So we need that water to help our body function on a cellular level. And also we're in here, we're exercising, we're hopefully eliminating some of the the waste material, maybe even some toxins that we've ingested in our lifetime. And so your body needs water also to flush that out. So water for me is one of the easiest things to change about our lifestyle, and you will begin to see the results immediately. One of my tips, or one of my tricks for myself for getting that water in is, you can see I carry this big jug of water around with me all the time so that I have access to it, because having access to clean, healthy water is key. Another trick that I try to use for myself is when I get up in the morning, and I'm a coffee drinker, so I'm not advocating that we have to eliminate the coffee from our regimen, but I try to drink a glass of water before I have my coffee. That glass of water before I have my coffee, one of the things it's going to do is going to help to, first of all, get you hydrated, because overnight your body loses a lot of its water, but it's also really helpful at supporting the process of elimination. And not only do we want to make sure we're getting lots of healthy things in, but we want to make sure we're getting all the other stuff out, okay, literally. So that's one of the things. And then when you start eating a healthier diet, hopefully that will become more prevalent anyway, because we're getting more fiber in our diet through the vegetables. We're hydrating ourselves, and so that elimination should be coming more easily. Awesome. So I actually want to start off kind of getting you guys in just thinking a little bit. So my main focus of my talk today is clean eating. And that might seem like a really big topic for you guys. So does anybody want to just tell me what their idea of clean eating is? Just short. Does anybody want to volunteer to give a idea of what they think clean eating means? And it's okay if you're not right, because we're gonna really clear it up today. But does anybody already have an idea of what clean eating means?
Reduced fat.
That could be one. Reduced proper fats, because some fats are really healthy. We're going to talk about that today. What's that?
Lots of vegetables.
Lots of vegetables, yeah. And fruits, yeah.
No process.
Unprocessed, yeah. That's one of the biggest keys. And really, like, one of the things that I like to think about when I'm talking about clean food is really consuming food as close to its natural state. Food was created in such a way that it's perfect, pretty much. An apple, chicken, the food in its natural state really comes with everything that we need to utilize it. And I really feel that in our modern times, as food has become more convenient, as we've gotten busier and busier in our lives, and as people are looking for quick and easy fixes for everything, not just for food, we pretty much live in a culture where, we want everything and we want it quickly. And so the more convenient that food has become, unfortunately what that has led to is that the food's become more processed. And so the more the processed the food is, a lot of the vitamins and the minerals are lost, a lot of the enzymes are lost, and particularly to get food to be able to be shelf stable, which means it can sit in the grocery store for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 6 months even, maybe longer. That food has to be preserved. It has to have chemicals put in that food that are going to stop it from going bad. You may not know this, but one of the things they do to stop food from going bad is they take a lot of the good stuff out of it. So a lot of these vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and enzymes that are so good for us, unfortunately, they don't have a long shelf life. And so to get that food to last longer, they pull that out and then they put the preservatives in. And oftentimes we'll find a lot of packaged foods that have been what they call fortified. And so we think we're getting like a really good deal. Oh, I got that whole grain bread and it was fortified with 22 vitamins and minerals. Well, they don't let you know that they pulled out 50 good things and they only put 20 back in. So it's certainly not that we can't have some food that's easy to grab and go, but we really want to try to aim in our day-to-day to be eating more clean and whole foods. So, and that's probably not news to anybody. We probably have already heard that before. And I grew up in what I call the Betty Crocker realm, where my mother was probably part of that first group of women that started going back to work full time. And you just had to make food the way that you could. And so my mom did a lot of canned vegetables. She did a lot of frozen and boxed things, and a lot of casseroles. But now that my mom is, I didn't say grown up because I'm the one that's grown up. She was already grown up then. She's starting to see what needs to be changing. My dad actually had cancer about 7 years ago, and while I was in my master's degree, I was just finishing up towards the end, and we had to take a very, what I would call a aggressive approach nutritionally, or another way we can talk about is a therapeutic approach nutritionally, to help my dad's body, be able to be strong enough to fight off the cancer. And then now that my dad was finally free from cancer, his diet really needed to be geared towards rebuilding a healthy new body. And so even if you don't have cancer or some sort of health disease, it is really important for us to recognize that we are what we eat. It's not just something that your mom told you when you were little. It's not something that your school teachers just told you. It really is the truth. And so we are what we eat. What we put in our body then will become the building blocks for your body. And so what I really feel like that does is it gives us some power. It empowers us to recognize that when we can start making healthy choices, we may not be able to control everything about our life. We may not even be able to control how much weight we lose, but we can control to a large extent the quality of the food that we put in our body. And again, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but that we really want to try to reach that 80% on the good side and 20% of, what I would say, 80% to nourish your body, 20% to nourish your soul. Because we can't just be in a state of restriction and denying ourselves all the time. All right. So, I want to approach with you guys today a new idea of what the word diet means. Because probably most of you, when you hear the word diet, what do we think of? We think about all the things we can't have, right? We think about, I'm going to be restricted, like you said, no fat, no sugar. That's a big part of clean eating food, is to eliminate sugars. So oftentimes we get stuck in this mindset of denial and restriction. And I don't know about you, but if that's where my focus is, if my intention is on what I can't have, I really want to have it. And it's really not a very positive way to motivate ourselves to continue to make healthy choices. So I really like to try to put the focus and the attention on what we are going to have. So I want you to think about, instead of the word diet meaning restriction, if we could give that word diet the acronym as did I eat today? Because really weight loss and diet is not about restricting, but it's about making healthy choices. So did I eat green foods and vegetables today? Did I eat the right kinds of healthy, clean proteins today? Did I eat the right kinds of healthy fats today? And we'll talk a little bit about what those mean. For me, did I eat breakfast today? Just a show of hands, how many people consume breakfast regularly? You guys are amazing. I'm hoping that's something that you guys have already been working on in this program. I find that with a lot of my clients that come to me, that many people are restricting their calories so much that they're actually putting their body in a state of starvation. And so if we're not putting enough of the good calories in, then your body will begin to try to conserve as much as it possibly can. So just kind of basically, I'll tell you how that mechanism works. Each of us has what we call a basal metabolism. So that means you all kind of have like a minimum amount of energy or calories that your body needs, and it's different for each of us. It's going to our age, our weight, our gender, our activity levels. A lot of these things are going to play into that, what your basal metabolism is. And the problem with a lot of diets or kind of fad nutritional plans that might work in the short term is that people are not consuming enough of the right clean foods. And so when we take our caloric intake below that basement number for too long of a time, our body is amazing. It's so efficient, and so the body says, well, guess what? They're not giving me what I need, so I'm just going to cut my needs back a little bit. And that might sound kind of good in the beginning, like, oh, I don't need as much to eat and I'll lose weight. But unfortunately, how that translates in our body is our body begins to kind of shortchange other metabolic functions. The body says, well, I don't have enough energy today, so maybe I just won't eliminate as much waste as I had. Or, oh, I don't have as much energy today, so maybe I'm just not going to give the brain as much energy as it needs. Or maybe the liver's not going to get what it needs to do its work. So short term, what happens is we get kind of shortchanged, our energy needs not being met. And then long term, what can happen with that is you get a new basement number, so your needs drop down. And that's probably what has happened to a lot of people in their life when they have gone on a diet and then they've gained weight back. Has that ever happened to anybody here where you've lost weight and you're feeling really good, and then next thing you know, you kind of, some of those normal habits start creeping back in, and maybe they're not even all bad habits, but you just kind of get back to just, what you really should be eating. And not only do you gain your original weight that you lost back, but a lot of times then we gain more because our body's needs now are lower. So one of the most important things we can do to assure that's not happening is to make sure we keep the metabolic fire stoked. Okay? And so to keep the metabolic fire stoked, you've got to put fuel on the fire. Okay? If you've ever been camping and somebody went to sleep and they didn't get up and put logs in the fire, you wake up in the morning and the logs are just little ashes. And you might have a little bit of a coal in there to get your fire going again, but a lot of times you got to start all over from scratch. And so if you can commit to yourself to eating breakfast every day, I like to tell my clients that it's best to eat within 30 minutes to an hour of waking up. Even if you're not hungry, like for me, I don't really get hungry in the morning at all, mainly out of habit. I've kind of created that habit where I wasn't eating. I'm a yoga teacher, and so I would go all morning and not eat until like 12 or 1 o'clock sometimes. Yeah, his eyes got really big. And then I'm starving, and then what happens when you're starving is your mind's not very clear, and that's not how we make the best choices. So getting up in the morning and even having just like a breakfast snack, and then if you get a little hungry or later, you can have a little bit bigger meal. But I think that's really important. And especially if you drink coffee in the mornings. How many people by a show of hands drink coffee in the mornings? Okay, so it's really, really bad for our body to consume caffeine on an empty stomach. Okay, it wreaks havoc with our blood sugar levels, and not just for women, but it really wreaks havoc with our hormones. Okay, and guess what? Your hormonal system is in charge of the weight. Your hormonal system is in charge of so much. So it's really important if you're going to have coffee in the mornings to have some sort of protein and some sort of fat along with your coffee. Okay? I cheat a little bit and I put a protein powder and a little coconut oil in my coffee, and I call that my morning snack. But it works. And what I find is that it gets that clarity. I don't get the energy drop. Of course, if I'm going to be doing any kind of physical activity in the morning, you definitely don't want to burn your furnace on an empty fuel. So it's important, especially if you're getting out and doing exercise in the mornings, to fuel yourself for that. Right, and I can be long-winded, so somebody have to let me know. I did set an alarm so I don't go overboard too much because I can talk. I talk for a living, so I'm sorry if you guys don't get a word in. I apologize. But please feel free to raise your hand and ask questions, because we can kind of, I could talk for 6 hours probably with the information that I have in the sheet in front of me. So we're talking about eating, and I put on your sheet kind of the most important types of food that we should be eating. We really need to be making sure that we're getting vegetables every day. And not only vegetables, but it's really important to focus on a lot of the green vegetables. Okay? Now, there's a whole lot of reasons why that's true. I'm going to give you a really simple reason for it right now. We really want to try to get our body in a state of alkalinity through our diet and lifestyle. Have you guys ever heard that term used with diet before? Okay? So we have alkalinity on one side, and what's the other side of the equation? Acidity, yes. Okay, so all diseases really thrive in a state of acidity. Cancer, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, brain-related or age-related brain decline. Pretty much if it's a Western disease, which I would call the diseases of affluence or the diseases of excess, it's probably coming somewhere down the line from having too much acid, either too much acid from our diets, and there's also other things that cause acid. Stress is very acidic forming. So there may be some things that are acid forming that we don't necessarily have control over. I can make certain better choices in life, and I can reduce some of my stress, but stress is a part of normal life, so we can't remove all the stress. So we need to approach it where we can, and that's really through our diet. And I'm just going to list the foods that are acid forming, and before I list them, I want you to know that there is room for some of these acid forming foods in our diet. Matter of fact, some of them are very essential, but they need to be part of the equation. So again, it's easy to remember 80-20. We want to try to get 80% of the alkaline foods. We want to limit our diet to about 20% of acidic forming foods. Okay? So at the top of the list of acidic forming foods, and again, this is something that I want you to have every day, but it wants to be part of that 20%, is protein. All protein, not just animal protein, even vegetable protein is acidic, although vegetable protein is a little less acidic, but protein has a net acidic effect on your body. Okay? Anybody else want to guess what a couple of other things in this category are? What are some of the other acid-forming foods? No, fats are actually can be alkaline, but yeah, they can be alkaline, but they're but we won't count them in this group because I want you guys to be eating fats. Grain. You guys have probably heard about how grain. Another word you can use with grains, you can just consider grains are sugar. Most grains. There are some grains that I feel are valuable in our diet, especially if we're being really active. Whole grains are not necessarily the best. We want to make sure they're actually real whole grains, and not like a milled whole grain flour. So like real whole grains that we consider like brown rice, millet, quinoa. There's a lot of ancient grains out there, so you really want to try to seek out whole grains, and not be fooled by marketing where they just literally take like white flour and add a little bit of whole wheat flour to it. So grains have an acid effect on your body. Dairy has an acidic effect on your body. There are some dairy that is more what I would consider acceptable, or at least can be part of that 20%. Some of the dairy that I do include in my clean eating lifestyle, it should really be organic in my opinion. I didn't give the pitch for organic yet, but we want to try to not be consuming a lot of chemicals because there's a lot of things we can't control. So where you can, you should. Also, conventionally raised meat, conventionally raised dairy has been pumped full of antibiotics and hormones and all kinds of other things. And if you are what you eat, then you're also ingesting those hormones and those other things. And I don't know about you, but I got enough hormones. I'm not trying to add any to the mix. So so far we said meat, we said grains, we said dairy. Okay, here's another really good one. So I don't want you to eliminate these, but they do want to be part of your 20%. Nuts and seeds. So even though nuts and seeds, so you were right, fats right there. I just wasn't thinking of it that way. Even though nuts and seeds are good for us, for me, that's one of my things I'm really working on in my cleaning challenge that I'm doing is not overdoing nuts and seeds. Because even though nuts and seeds have lots of fiber, they have lots of minerals, they have lots of good things for you, they're really high in fat. And they're also a very concentrated food. So does anybody know what the serving of nuts and seeds a day should be? Anybody have an idea? Huh? 2 ounces. You guys are good. I'm so impressed. Yeah, and a good way to do it is to have like the hand, and a 1 ounce is kind of what fits in your open palm right there. So, for me, I put a ounce of nuts in my protein shake in the morning, and then I usually have nuts as a snack, and then before I know it, I'm eating nuts all day. So even though nuts are a good choice, we want to keep them limited. Okay, we don't want to go overboard on them. And then the last category, I'm going to put sugar and chemicals together. So all sugar, pretty much in any state, is not the best thing for us. Now, of course, sugar in its more natural forms, especially when it comes in whole foods. So what are some whole foods that we know have sugar in them? Fruits, yeah, dates, yeah, fruits. So I don't want you to think of fruit as the enemy, because especially when we're trying to adopt healthier choices, fruit's definitely a better choice than a Snickers bar. Fruit's a better choice than a donut. But again, we can go overboard with fruits. So those are my like 2 big things I'm working on right now, is to watch my portions of nuts and to watch how much fruit I'm consuming. Yes?
What do you consider fake food?
Fake food, food that comes in a package or a box or a window, I would call fake food. Another thing you want to think about as fake food is marketers are very keen on what is popular, and they know that health food has become very popular over the last 15 or 20 years. And so, don't fool yourself thinking that gluten-free brownies are a good choice, right? Back before I started learning about nutrition, I would eat veggie burgers every night. Well, they were really full of soy, they were really full of sodium, they were really full of a lot of junk. And even though in my mind, the veggie burger was a better choice than like the McDonald's hamburger, and if you were thinking about the grand scheme, the pyramid, yes, the veggie burger is going to be higher on the pyramid than McDonald's, but it's still what I would call healthy junk food. And so while there's room somewhere in our life for that, you just want to watch not getting kind of like snowballed by the marketers and filling your the matter of fact, that's what happened to me when Whole Foods first opened. Like, I shop at Synergy. Synergy's my restaurant. I shop mainly produce and like whole grains and whole fresh nuts and seeds. And when Whole Foods opened, I was like a kid in a candy store. There's all these organic, packaged foods. And the first time I went, I came home and I'm like, man, these are things I wouldn't normally buy. So I had to kind of pull myself back out of that and be like, all right, I'll go there occasionally to have a treat, but we just don't want those healthy fake foods to become that much a part of our regimen. There certainly is room for some things for convenience, but it's also being aware of reading the label on all those things. And, even healthy companies are smart, and they know that sugar and fat is what makes things taste good. So if you read the ingredients list, what happens is that the very first ingredient, that's what's the most of, and the very bottom ingredient, that's what's the least of. And so you just don't want to see sugar or any form of sugar up in those top few. Matter of fact, I usually use the example of blueberry yogurt. So if you go to the store and you look at a carton of blueberry yogurt, how many ingredients do you guys think it should have? 2. Yogurt and blueberries, right? But if you actually read the package of the blueberry, like the blueberries have 20 ingredients. Well, blueberries, real food doesn't have ingredients. Real food is ingredients. And so if you look at, matter of fact, any packaging you read, if it has like 20 or 30 things that make up what's in there, that's a good signal that that's not, that's fake food. If it needs 50 things to be put in a box, then, maybe not have it quite so often. So I talked about what is the acid-forming foods. We listed protein, we listed dairy, nuts and seeds, grains, and sugar. So those are the guys that we want to try to cut back on. Eliminate maybe all the way for some of you guys. Some things I find that when I took them out of my diet, that I felt so good that I didn't really want to have them on a regular basis. And other things like dairy, I will have those occasionally because I really enjoy them and I don't want to totally deny myself, but I know that I don't feel my best when I'm having them on a regular basis. And ultimately for me, that's how I try to make most of my choices is, how is it going to make me feel? Is it going to make me feel tomorrow like getting out and playing and having a wonderful day? Or is it going to make me feel like, sitting home and, laying on the couch and, going to bed midday? So that's an important concept to realize, is that there's power in all the choices that we make, for sure. So we talked about the bad guys, or the guys we want to cut back a little bit on. What were the 2 main groups of foods we didn't talk about? Vegetables and fruits, carbohydrates, exactly. So, and the word carbohydrate has gotten a really bad rap, because like carbohydrate, even like good healthy vegetables have carbohydrates in them. So we want to continue to have carbohydrates. We want to continue to have vegetables in our diet, and even fruits in our diet in moderation. But we want to try to focus on the lower starchy vegetables, like the green foods. In matter of fact, if we're trying to balance that equation of 80-20, the most alkaline foods on our planet are the green foods. And I'll often tell clients that get kind of overwhelmed, they come in to see me and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't remember all this, it's too much. I just say,
Just if you focus on adding green foods into your diet every day, the rest of it's going to fall into place. Because if you get more green foods, and not just green, even though green is the most alkaline, we really want to be eating a rain bowl of vegetables every day, because the different colors in the food are representative of the different phytochemicals, the different enzymes, the different antioxidants, the different colors are what make the food so healthy. So have you guys heard the word phytochemical before? Yep. Phytochemicals. So phytochemicals are what scientists are discovering are so protective against cancer, so protective against heart disease. And the phytochemicals, again, are represented by the different colors. So if you try to really focus on getting a variety of the different colors, maybe not every day, but rotating them throughout your week. But really emphasizing the green vegetables, because the green vegetables are going to be the most alkaline, and they're going to be the most getting your body in that balance. Okay? But all vegetables are good, so don't feel like you want to avoid any of the other vegetables. But I oftentimes think that people think that some things that are they think are vegetables, I consider them starches. So corn, for a good example, is not a vegetable. I wouldn't consider white potatoes a vegetable. I would consider them more starch. And even sweet potatoes, I would consider like to put in your starch category when you're thinking about designing your plate. And sweet potatoes are wonderful. So again, it's not that we want to avoid those, but in our standard American diet, oftentimes the starches are the kind of the forefront, and it's the dark leafy greens and the clean proteins that kind of take the back seat. So if you're thinking about designing the perfect plate, and of course there is no one way to do anything, and if you came to talk to me as an individual, I would really get to know you and your needs, what was going on with you, and we would really kind of like fine-tune things. But just in general, you should think that about half of your plate wants to be vegetables, okay? And then about half of your plate wants to be protein and fat. So it's about 20% protein and about 30%, oh, I'm sorry, back that up. 20% fats and about 30% protein, okay? So that's a good kind of like basic idea of what it should be. Right now, with the group that I'm working on, we're talking about doing a breakfast rotation. So 2 days a week, I have them focusing on getting some sort of a smoothie that's got low sugar fruits, such as like blueberries, strawberries, and maybe a little bit of banana if you like a little bit of sweetness in there. Trying to put some vegetables in that smoothie. So the easiest vegetables in the smoothie, a handful of spinach, handful of greens, some spirulina, maybe a healthy nut or a healthy fat in there. So 2 days a week, we're trying to aim to get the smoothies. 2 days a week, we're aiming to get what I call a loaded cereal. So like maybe a steel-cut oatmeal or a brown rice cereal, a sprouted grain cereal. And when I say loaded, we put the healthy omega fats on there. So maybe some flax seeds, some chia seeds. Are you guys familiar with chia seeds? Chias are wonderful because you don't have to have them ground up to get the nutritional benefit. With flaxseed, it really needs to be ground for you to get the benefit, or else it just goes straight through you. It's still going to have benefit to bulk up your stool, but you're not going to be able to get access to all the healthy omega fatty oils that are in the flax. Also on that loaded cereal, we might be putting some green apple, or again, more berries, because those are lower sugar fruits. Okay, and then 3 days a week, I'm challenging them to have a savory breakfast. So what I call a savory breakfast would either be some sort of egg or leftover protein from the night before, ideally, and vegetables. So I actually try to have vegetables for breakfast every day. And it's a switch from our modern thinking, because, you know, when you go out to eat for breakfast, typically we get lots of processed carbs, lots of sugary things, and that's kind of like the way our palate has evolved to think of as breakfast. And so it might be a challenge for you in the beginning to switch over to some savory type breakfast, but it's a really good thing to do. And the reason that we do the breakfast rotation, does anybody know why we change it up? Okay.
Like the body does, what it does is keeping your levels moving.
You're my assistant. You're wonderful. And that's exactly it. It's the same way as if you did the same exact exercise routine every day, pretty soon your body starts getting really efficient at it. And even though it's still good for you, and you know, it's not like it was wasted, but your body isn't going to derive as many benefits. So with your metabolism, you always want to keep your metabolism guessing. So if you're putting the exact same meal in every single day, you're having breakfast the same time, you're having lunch the same time, your body just gets really efficient at that combination. So if you can switch it up, you're going to keep your metabolism working. You're going to keep your metabolism guessing. You're going to keep it having to do what it needs to do to get you the results that you want to get. And plus, if you're changing it up all the time, you won't get bored, hopefully. Like for me, I don't like eating the same thing. I like to make something different. Even if I'm using my leftovers from the day before, I want to recreate and have something totally new and totally different. So, awesome. All right, so I'm going to see if anybody has any questions for a moment, because we've got about a little over 20 minutes left, and I'll answer a couple of questions. And then I also wanted to mention to you guys that I brought in some menus from Synergy. Synergy's an all-organic cafe downtown, and I also brought in some sheets for some of the wellness programs that I have. On the bottom of the sheet, there is it says Weight Warrior 17 is a code, and if you sign up for any of our wellness programs, I think I put on there through April or May, then you'll get 20% off. Okay. I also want to do a promotion with you guys. If anybody goes on and likes my Facebook page, Synergy's Facebook page, and you sign up for my newsletter and you give me that promo code, it's on the bottom of this flyer, that you can, I will send you a coupon to come into the restaurant for 20% off your ticket. Okay. I always forget little things like that at the end, so I thought I would get that out there before. All right, does anybody have any questions for me? I'm happy to answer. Well, I won't say anything, but if I know it, I'll try to answer it. Yes.
I had a couple of questions. Actually, on your Facebook internet page right now.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the juicing blend for health?
Yes, thank you. I do have a wonderful class coming up this Friday night. It's called Juicing and Blending for Health. I'm so glad you said that, because that was one of the ways that I use to get more vegetables into my diet. Because vegetables, 10 servings of vegetables is what I tell my clients they should be aiming for every day. And if you're eating 10 servings of vegetable, which by the way, a serving is about a cup, about a big fat fist. Okay, if you're eating that a day, number one, your jaw gets really tired, and you might spend your whole day eating vegetables. So I use juicing and blending as a way to get that in. So this particular class that I'll be teaching on this Friday night is called Juicing and Blending for Health. So anytime I come up with a recipe, number one, I want it to taste good, because I want you to look forward to the healthy things that you have in your life. But number two, I want it to have a therapeutic effect. So not only does it want to taste good, but it wants to have healthy balance of ingredients. And I find that one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they try to juice or blend is, number one, I see people put just everything in the juicer and then it comes out like gray or brown. Has anybody ever done that? You made a smoothie or a juice and it was like gray?
Yeah.
How appealing is that? Do you know that you start to digest with your eyeballs? So if I'm looking at this gray sludge, and I've made a few of those in my time, believe me, then I'm probably not going to want to drink that. So I try to, you want to, even though it might be good for you, the chances that you're going to stick with, the green or the gray sludge is less. Also, I find a big mistake that people make is they just overdo the fruits in their juices. And even though fruits can have a lot of healthy benefits, are full of enzymes, are full of antioxidants, are full of vitamins and minerals, fruit's also full of sugar. And when we're juicing, especially, what happens when you juice is you are putting the produce into a machine, and then out one end comes the juice, and out the other end comes the fiber. So I didn't talk about fiber yet today, really, but fiber is so important because fiber helps to slow down your body's absorption of sugars. So if you're going to be consuming fruits, I say eat or blend your fruits, juice your veggies, okay? A little bit of fruit in your juice is okay, but we want to watch over consuming juiced fruits because it's just kind of like mainlining sugar into our bloodstream. But one trick that I do use if I am going to be juicing some fruits is I want to make sure that I put some good vegetables in there as well, and then pair that juice with a healthy fat. Or one thing I do is I'll sometimes put a little bit of my pulp back inside my juice, stir it around so I get the fiber. And another little trick is put a teaspoon of chia seeds in your juice. Stir it around a little bit, and those chia seeds, it's a healthy fat, it's a healthy protein, and also the chia seeds will absorb up to 9 times their body weight in fluid, and so they become like a little sponge that bulks up your stool, and it helps your body eliminate waste material. So in that class, just 1 second. In that class, I'll be focusing on preventing and reversing disease, and just using juicing and blending to get healthier. We'll be making juices, we'll be making superfood smoothies, we'll also be making fresh nut milks and homemade nut butters. And in that class, you're going to get a chance to drink and eat everything. So if anybody wants to sign up for that, I have it this Friday, and you'll get 20% off for being at this program.
Never do it again.
I will do it again, and I also do small groups, so if anybody in this group, if we got at least 5 people together that wanted to do a class, I would do it around your schedules, okay? For any of my programs, I'll do that. If I get a small group of 5 people that want to do it, I'm happy to do it around everybody's schedule. I also have coming up in a couple of weeks, I have a cooking to cure class. I have 2 of those. And in that class, we'll be not making juices and smoothies, but we'll be making foods. We'll be specifically focusing on soups, vegetables, and sauces. One of the feedback I get at the cafe all the time is the sauces that we put on everything makes things taste so good. It's how I got my dad to eat vegetables. But the secret is not putting sauces on there that are super high in fat and super high in sugar, super high in salt, but using fresh ingredients. I really depend heavily on herbs and a lot of citrus in my sauces, healthier fats, so that they have a therapeutic medicinal benefit. Not just taste good, but also good for you. Yes.
Now, this might be an obvious question, but for me, maybe not. For foods that are hard to digest,
Yes.
say like broccoli,
Yes.
for example. So when you're juicing, if you put broccoli in there and juice it up and make it more on liquid form,
Yeah.
is it going to be easier to digest or be the same?
It definitely is easier to digest. Juicing with cruciferous vegetables may make people a little gassy, so I would just say not to make that the majority of your drink, but a little bit. But it definitely will enhance the digestibility of the cruciferous vegetables. Also, when we cook the cruciferous vegetables, it makes them more digestible as well. Steaming them or roasting them or baking them, putting them in soups, things like that can also help with the digestion, for sure. Because a lot of people do, they kind of get that gassiness. And that's also something that will happen when you start to increase your vegetables in general, is because they're full of fiber, they're going to kind of make you feel maybe a little full, a little bloated. And your body takes a little time to get used to that transition. So be patient with it. Don't go from eating 0 vegetables to 10 cups of vegetables in a day. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't feel good when I eat vegetables. So just kind of like slowly ease into it, for sure. Did that answer your question? Was that it? All right, awesome. All right, anybody else? Yes.
Is there a good kind of veg burger? Like, I don't eat meat, so I live on those,
Yeah.
fake chicken pies and the chicken bacon and all that.
I would say number 1 thing to look for is a non-GMO soy. So a lot of times those are soy-based. So I would look for something that's non-GMO, because the genetically modified soy, the genetically modified corn, we haven't really had genetically modified food long enough for us to really know what kind of impact it's going to have on our body. But if we believe that we are what we eat and we're eating a lot of food that's genetically modified, God, we become genetically modified. And so I recommend to try to main thing is just source organic and non-GMO on that. One thing that we serve at our cafe is tempeh. Are you familiar with tempeh? Tempeh, it's a vegetarian protein source. The one that we use is made from whole grain soybean, brown rice, and flax. And that's another thing to look for when you're consuming soy. It's going to be better for you if it's been fermented. So the tempeh has been fermented, which kind of sounds gross if you think about it. Ew, it's fermented. But fermented foods have, in a way, been pre-digested as well. And so they're easier on your body to digest. So I would just say source organic, non-GMO, and then look at the ingredients list, and it has a ton of, ingredients. Just try to get things that have less ingredients, for sure. As far as brands go, I don't know, but I could look into some for you. If you want to send me an email, my email's on the, and I can maybe see what I know in the area. But organic, non-GMO, and few ingredients as possible. All right, anybody else have more questions?
Do you put like list calories next to the things you serve at your place?
I don't list list calories next to things. I can probably give you a guesstimate when you come in on calories. My philosophy as a nutritionist is I try to not get people to focus on calories so much, but to focus on the quality of food that we're eating. I find that if you're eating foods that are higher in quality, if you have lots of good veggies in, you're eating the healthy fats, you're eating good clean protein at every meal, then you will probably be more regulating yourself and you won't go overboard. Certainly, there are situations where people need to be more in tune with what their calorie intakes are. Because that used to be a problem that I used to have. I used to obsess over calories. I used to obsess over my weight. I would weigh myself like 5 times a day and then be depressed if I gained a half an ounce. I try to not focus on some of those things and just focus on more of the quality. But I could probably give you a guesstimate. At our cafe, we don't add any sugar. We don't add any bad stuff, so it's all whole ingredients anyway. Most of the smoothies on our menu, I would say, are 250 calories, and I have a lot of tricks and tips. If you come in and you want something with even less, we can make things to modify for what your needs are.
How do you feel about things like stevia?
Yeah. So the sugars are, I would say the best case scenario would be stevia or Truvia. There's a new one out now, monk fruit. Have you guys familiar with monk fruit? And what's the other thing they call that? Lacanado? Lenco? It's monk fruit, basically. Monk fruit is derived from a tropical fruit and it has no impact on blood sugar levels. I am a big advocate of a raw local honey on moderation. But again, that's one of the things that I'll go overboard with. So we don't want to trick ourselves into thinking that even though it's a healthier sugar, that it's good for us. Agave was really popular for a long time, and they said it was like more natural, but it really impacts your blood sugar levels. So I would say stevia, Truvia, the monk fruit, if you're wanting to add some kind of a sweetener in there. And then another one that I like to use, I use a lot in my baking that I do, is coconut sugar. Are you guys familiar with coconut sugar? So coconut sugar is a little bit more in its natural state, and it's not gonna, it's still gonna impact blood sugar levels some, but not as much as like table sugar. And one thing I like to tell people to steer clear of, I have clients come in all the time and they think that turbinado or sugar in the raw is a better choice. It's not. Really, sugar in the raw is just cane sugar that they then sprayed molasses back over to give it a more natural appearance, okay? So I would say that that's just sugar, but I would also recommend that if you're gonna have sugar, have real sugar. The fake sugars are even worse for us. So the Splenda, the aspartame, the Sweet and Low, I don't even know some of them anymore. They are, matter of fact, in your body, a lot of those turn into formaldehyde. So I would just say, if you're gonna have sugar, have real sugar. Just don't have a lot of it. If you're gonna have something with sugar in it, make sure you don't have sugar on an empty stomach. So you wanna keep your blood sugar levels stable. Okay, that's gonna keep your hormones balanced. It's when your blood sugar skyrockets that your body says, hey, I got all this extra sugar, I don't know what to do with it. And then your body's like, wait a minute, I'm gonna put it in my fat. And I'm going to hang on to it for the next time when I need it. But I don't know any time in my life that I had a need for extra sugar. What happens is I just collect it. Okay? So the best way to actually burn those fat cells to get rid of them is don't give them a bunch of sugar to carry around with them. Okay? Did I see somebody else's hand up? Yes.
Is there a substitute for brown sugar in a recipe?
I would say the coconut sugar would be the closest to that. Or there's also something called succanat, which is really close.
Oh, yeah.
Succanat or brown sugar, or I've even used, wasn't beet sugar, date sugar. And dates is something that I incorporate into a lot of my healthier desserts. We make what we call truffles down at the cafe, and they're a mixture of nuts, and I usually use dates and maybe they got coconut oil, chia seeds, all kinds of things. We do different flavors. And dates are a good choice because dates have fiber in them. So when you're having them, it's not like, it's just sugar going directly into your bloodstream. Now you also don't want to go crazy with dates either though, because 5 or 6 dates, it's still gonna pack a lot of sugar. So, but the tip or the trick is to just not consume high sugary foods on an empty stomach. Have them with some sort of fat, have them with some sort of a protein, because we just ultimately, our goal wants to be keep the blood sugar level stable. All right, anybody else? All right, my goodness, we got just a couple of extra minutes. I really wanted to get a group